always knew I was the wrong kind of different. While the other juniors at Bramble High synchronized themselves into neat rows of sameness, matching hoodies, same playlists, same forced laughs, I drifted along the edges with my sketchbook and my silence. I liked old horror comics and astronomy. I dressed in thrift store velvet when everyone else wore denim, and my eyes, a too pale grey, made people whisper, "witch," behind my back. They thought the word was a joke, a playground insult. I learned the hard way that jokes can grow claws. The worst of them, Austin, Brielle, Mason and their two shadows, Kyle and Trish, turned torment into an after-school sport. Lockers slammed on my fingers. My drawings were torn. My telescope lens cracked. My name hissed through the cafeteria like a slur. I endured because I believed graduation would free me. Hope is a flimsy shield, and one November night they shattered it. They caught me outside the bus depot, 5 miles from town, where the pavement bleeds into desert scrubland. I'd gone there to photograph the Leonid meteors, tripod balanced on gravel. Their pickup rolled up without headlights. They spilled out, drunk on stolen beer and the thrill of an easy target. Words blurred into fists. Someone's boot met my ribs. Someone else yanked my hair until I tasted dust. Stars streaked overhead while my blood darkened the sand. When Austin finally knelt beside me, breath steaming, he said, "You don't belong anywhere." Then they drove off, leaving me folded in the cold like a broken marionette. I drifted in and out, certain I was dying. Coyotes howled in the distance. Headlights returned. Another truck, older, rattling, its beams sweeping the sagebrush. A woman climbed down. Her long braids shimmered silver in the moonlight, and her lined face held neither fear nor pity, only purpose. She touched my cheek, murmured words I couldn't translate, and lifted me as if I weighed nothing. Pain receded beneath her hands, replaced by a thrumming warmth that spread through my bones. She took me to a small house on the edge of the reservation. The inside smelled of cedar and smoke. While the fire crackled, she ground herbs, pressed them into my cuts, and sang in a low cadence that vibrated in my skull. With every note, my vision sharpened, my ribs knit, the swelling around my eye subsided. When dawn brushed the curtains, I could sit upright. The woman poured water over a smooth red stone, steam swirling between us. "Life," she said, tapping my sternum, "is strong in you, but you will carry more than life now." Her palm hovered above mine. A spark, literal blue-white, leapt from her skin to my fingers. It didn't burn. It felt like possibility. I asked her name. "Kiona," she replied, then added, "Your path bends sharply tonight. Walk it wisely." She drove me to the county road and let me out before sunrise, as if secrecy protected us both. I turned to thank her, but the truck was already receding into dust. At home, I hid bruises beneath layers and told my foster mother I'd fallen off my bike. She barely glanced up from her phone. In my room, I stared at my trembling hands. Something shimmered beneath the skin, an invisible current I could almost direct. I focused on a pencil lying on my desk. It twitched, rolled, then rose 3 inches before clattering down. Shock jolted me, followed by wild laughter that filled the empty house. Over the next weeks, I practiced in secret. I levitated coins, spun them like copper galaxies. I pushed textbooks across the floor with a flick of thought, then drew them back. Each success strengthened the current, muscles you can't see but can feel burning with new growth. The world grew pliable, a soft clay responding to my will. Returning to school was inevitable. When I walked through the front doors, conversation faltered. The bullies stared, faces blanched, as though a ghost had stepped from legend into daylight. Bruises hidden by makeup, spine straightened by something brighter than confidence, I met their eyes and smiled. For the first time, they looked away. but fear curdles into rage. I sensed them plotting, snatched whispers in corridors, the sudden hush when I passed. They weren't finished with me. Predators rarely abandon the hunt. Let them come, I thought, testing the air around my fingers until it rippled like heat. Friday evening, clouds blotted the sunset. I left school alone, aware of footsteps falling into rhythm behind me. I led them, Austin, Brielle, Mason, Kyle, Trish, past shuttered stores and out toward the empty tract, where half-built houses skeletoned the prairie. Wind hissed through framing timber. Streetlights hadn't been installed yet. Darkness pooled thick as ink. I stopped before a foundation pit and turned. Their bravado cracked when they saw my calm. "Thought you could scare us with that zombie act?" Mason sneered, brandishing a tire iron. Brielle's smile was a razor slice. They advanced. I inhaled, tasting the night. Power flooded my veins like liquid starlight. I raised one hand. The tire iron ripped from Mason's grip, whirling upward, clanging against unseen walls before dropping at my feet. They froze. I stepped forward, and the air hardened around them, invisible shackles snapping shut. They struggled, limbs jerking, mouths spewing curses that dissolved into panic. "You left me to die," I said, voice steady, echoing across plywood and concrete. "Let me return the favor." With a thought, I tightened the force around Austin's right arm. The bone cracked, sharp, decisive. He screamed, knees buckling. I moved to Brielle. Her femur snapped like a dry branch. One by one, I pressed until each of them screamed a different note in a symphony of breaking. I didn't see blood. I didn't need to. The sound, the knowledge of their pain mirrored against the void they'd carved in me, was enough. Tears streamed down Kyle's face. "Please," he choked. "We're sorry. Sorry." The word floated, meaningless. I had crossed a line beyond apology. Above us, clouds parted, revealing a single hard star. I felt Kiona's spark pulsing in my chest. Life, yes, but also something older, a storm waiting centuries for release. I raised both arms. Heat blazed around my captives, lifting them inches off the ground. Their eyes widened as their bodies shimmered, outlines blurring like chalk in rain. Molecules loosened under my command. The screams stopped, not from mercy, but because throats no longer existed to shape them. Light flared, white and absolute, then winked out. Where 5 bodies had hung, only drifting ash remained, scattering into the foundation pit like dark snow. Silence settled, vast and holy. My breathing slowed. Power receded, leaving behind an echo that thrummed in the bones they hadn't broken. I wiped a tear, whether of grief or triumph, I couldn't say, and walked home beneath a sky raw with stars. Inside, the house was still. I washed my hands though they were clean, the water spiraling crimson only in memory. My reflection in the mirror looked older, eyes luminous, pupils ringed with silver. I wondered if Kiona felt the surge, miles away, and whether she approved. I wondered what price awaited me for wielding such fury. Power is never gifted without cost. I sat at my desk, opened my sketchbook, and drew the moment the bullies dissolved. 5 smudged silhouettes, surrendering to light. Charcoal dust drifted across the page, like the ash still clinging to my sleeves. I closed the book, exhaled, and let quiet seep into my bones. It didn't last. A sharp rap echoed through the hallway, 3 deliberate knocks against the front door frame, steady as a heartbeat. I hear a knock on the door.